You're listening to Fragments of Silicon, reminding you that whenever you're in a beam struggle, use the Kaioken.
I'm not sure if that was more or less on point than last week's or last night's top quote thing. I'm not sure if that has a formal name. Anyway, welcome to another edition of Fragments of Silicon on a Thursday. Yeah, this wasn't really planned out this way, but you know, it's a thing called life. Now,
Mhm.
now circumstances happened that forced another Thursday episode in the same month. Just roll with it. Joining me on staff are Ogre and Pettyfan.
Hi.
Morning.
Yeah, yeah, our yeah. Um, about half our crew's out because well, they have daytime commitments that they had to meet. So it's just the three of us. And joining us for interview today is, forgive me if I mispronounce this, Kai Tuovinen of Frozenbyte.
Yeah, hey guys. Nice to be here as well.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you. All right. So let's see. Starting from the top, how did you first get interested in video games?
Uh, well, video games have been part of my life for pretty much as far as I can remember. I had a PC like way back uh, when I was like, I don't know, 5 years old or something. So yeah, Nintendo, the NES as well. So all the way back in my childhood, interested in video games, and that's kind of been the story ever since.
Right. And was it like a PC or was it an Amiga or a Commodore 64?
It was a PC. It was like 386 or 286, something like that.
Hmm,
So quite a few years ago. Yeah.
indeed. And how did you get interested in video games in a professional capacity?
Well, I guess the hobby itself, just playing video games, is a very big incentive to get into the industry as well. Uh, I'm more of studied more of like the marketing side and business side, but yeah, the games industry was always kind of where I wanted to land, and uh, luckily had some good chances to get into the industry, and yeah.
Hmm. And gotta ask, what does the industry in Finland look like?
It's pretty big actually in Finland, especially on the mobile development side. There's like hundreds of companies nowadays all over Finland. Biggest hubs are in like Helsinki, the capital area, and then a few other places as well. But yeah, there's a lot of companies in Finland making games right now. It's pretty big in terms of like how many companies there are. There's lots of small ones, small startups, and then a few um, like older companies that have been in the industry for like 10, 20 years. Uh, but then obviously we have big mobile companies like Supercell and Robio that are, making millions
Right.
on the mobile side. But yeah, the industry in general is very big at the moment.
Right. Yeah, we had House Mark on the program last year.
Oh, was it Mikael from Housemark?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know the guy. So
Yeah.
he used
Like,
to be my roommate actually in college. So
oh wow, small world.
yeah, very small.
Oh,
It's nice to hear, though.
anyway, so did you go to university like to get into the video game industry, or was that another path?
Well, I studied business in the university, like
Mhm.
business marketing, that kind of stuff. I don't know if it was requirement to get into the industry, but yeah, I do marketing at Frozenbyte, so it kind of fits that
Mhm.
in that sense. Yeah.
Right. And was Frozenbyte the first place you worked, or have you worked elsewhere beforehand?
In the games industry, yeah,
Yeah.
Frozenbyte is the first place I worked in. Started as like an intern, so yeah,
Mm.
been
And,
here like four plus years now.
mm, it's an impressive amount of time.
Yeah, it's a great place to work at. So yeah,
Mm.
definitely enjoying it here.
It's good to hear. Let's see. Trying to remember. I think that's 4 years ago. That's about when they were working on what, Trying Two.
Yeah, I came to the company right at the time when Wii U was launching, and we were making the Wii U version and like kind of the expansion for Trying to the Goblin Menace expansion and Wii U version, which was Trying to Director's Cut. So that's kind of when I that summer when I joined.
Hmm. I that was 2012, if I'm remembering. Yeah, when
Yeah,
we
yeah.
launched. Yeah. Like, and what were you doing as an intern?
Just some basic, uh, helping out marketing stuff.
Hmm.
All kinds of like Photoshop, uh, just like all kinds of general tasks.
And when did you move up to the marketing position?
I think that was a year or two later. Can't exactly remember the time, but yeah.
Like, was Trying Three in the works by then?
I think it was a bit before that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like, so Splot.
Yeah, I was part of Splot as well. Yeah, the release.
Was that your first marketing assignment?
No, I mean, I did a lot of stuff for like the later parts of Trying to as well.
Yeah,
Because yeah,
yeah, and then I think it came what to the PlayStation 4 next.
yeah, that's like for PlayStation 4, we unified like kind of the same thing that we had for Wii U, the Director's Cut, what, and we sort of added the same as we have on Wii U, but yeah, we combined the PC version as well into one pack. So we uh, merged the Goblin Menace expansion and then the base game, trying to complete story, and that was kind of what we were doing for quite a long time.
Hmm. Sounds like it was a uh, bit of a resource-intensive project, surprisingly.
Uh, yeah, I guess so. I don't know,
Like,
but yeah, it was. We're trying out some different things at the time as well. Some other stuff that's not like out there yet, but yeah.
duly noted. Um, right. So, moving forward, the latest out of Frozenbyte is a game called Has Been Heroes.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So, for the uninitiated, what exactly is this game?
So Has Been Heroes, it's a roguelike game which has a big emphasis on strategy. It's people have been saying that it's a really tough game, and yeah, we've been seeing that watching the streams and hearing comments from players. But yeah, it's a game about a group of has-beens. These heroes that used to be really legendary and epic in the kingdoms. They slayed dragons, defeated evil witches, and all kinds of things. But then time passed on, and all these heroes started disappearing, retiring, and just two of them left by the time we get to this story. And they get one final quest from the king, which is to take his daughters to school. And it's kind of this humoristic setting, but actually the game itself proves quite a bit more difficult than what the setting would imply initially. So the way the game is played, you're playing as three heroes, and it's very much a lane-based game. So you have one lane for each of the heroes, and your goal is to just defeat all the incoming monsters, which consist of this undead army filled with skeletons, zombies, spirits, and all kinds of things. And you're using your heroes' melee attacks as well as spells in order to just defeat the armies that are in your path. And what you're doing to do that is you're managing each of the heroes' individual attack cooldowns, their spell cooldowns, and you're swapping the heroes between the different lanes in order to match your hits with the enemy's health and stamina points. But yeah, that's kind of the basics. It's a lot easier to talk about the game if it's playing on the background and somebody's showing the game. But yeah.
Right. Well, it's worth noting that we have two editions of this show. We've got the video version here, but we also put out a podcast version, which is audio only.
Yeah.
So, the people who listen to that version won't be able to see what's going on screen now.
Right. All right. Yeah.
That's why we still have to have people tell about the game, even though it's right there on the screen. So.
All right. Yeah, I can continue explaining a little more about the game as well if you want.
Sure.
All right. So so that was kind of the combat in a very brief nutshell. To elaborate a bit more on the combat is I would say the key component to combat is using the amount of hits that your characters do, and then the amount of stamina points that the enemies have. So each of the enemies has this red bar, which is their health, and before that are these green blocks, which are stamina points. And what you're constantly trying to do is you're trying to match the amount of hits that each of your heroes have or has with the amount of stamina that the enemies have. So let's say an enemy has 3 stamina. What you want to do is you want to hit that 3 stamina enemy with a hero that has that does 3 attacks. So, for example, the rogue. If you hit them for the exact amount that stuns the enemy, and then you can swap in another character to do full damage to the enemy. That is like the single most important thing about the combat in the game, and also I would say using your spells instantly, pausing the game, and thinking about your moves is also one of the main things that you need to do in this game in order to survive. In addition to the combat, the game also you're constantly seeing this minimap of where the heroes are traveling. That is filled with randomized locations. There are question marks at the first time you see the map. The map is always randomized. And the map is filled with locations such as spell vendors, merchants, chests, and camps that heal you. And yeah, your point is on the map to typically move through as many of those question marks as possible to maximize the amount of items and spells that your characters will receive. That makes them more powerful.
Yeah, I've played a run through, and it's it is fairly hard. And does the game get I hesitate to use the word easier, but I noticed some unlocks every time you went through a run.
Yeah.
Like, do those affect the difficulty?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the unlocks are like when you, for example, die, or then if you beat a boss, or anytime you play, pretty much you gather these souls that are released at the end of your run, and that gives you unlocks. So the unlocks, what that means is the pool of stuff that you encounter on your next run has grown bigger, so you can find more powerful stuff, more powerful items, more like different types of spells and enemies as well. So while the items and spells are kind of there to boost you, it also sometimes makes the games harder because some of the new enemies that you unlock, which can be a bit tougher than previous ones. But typically those enemies will then appear in on the like further regions of your runs. So generally the unlocks make the game a little bit easier and also more like varied because the pool grows bigger.
Because the game is quite short in terms of like a play session. Like took me about 90 minutes to get through it.
Yeah.
But I'm suspecting that the name of the game here is replayability.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first time, did you beat the boss guy?
No, I got to his third phase, and then I got kind of bogged down in minion fights.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so you were playing like 2 regions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, the way it works is once you beat that boss, the first time you play the game, the first run is 2 regions, and if you beat the boss at the end of the second region, the game starts from the beginning, but you've unlocked a new hero, which we can swap on your next game. So one of the starting heroes can be swapped, and the next time you start a game, there will be 3 regions that you need to play through. So when you beat that run next time, you unlock another character, and then the run is going to be on 4 regions. The next one will be 5, 6, and 7, and the final one will be 8 regions long. So it gets quite long on the final one, and pretty tough.
I'm like, what is like the full unlock size here?
Full unlock size is 300 plus spells, 200 plus items, 200 something enemies. There's 14 different types of regions. What else is there? Let me think. And yeah, you're saying something.
So it sounds like there's quite a bit of content in the game.
Yeah, and then there's I think 13 different unique heroes plus the variations for those 36 in total that you can unlock. So quite a bit of different heroes to unlock as well, and yeah, I mean, to unlock everything would take like hundreds of hours, I think. Personally, I haven't finished the game yet. I'm on the 7th boss run, or the 7th boss run. I mean, the run where there's 7 regions. That's where I'm at myself right now. I've played it there on Steam, and then right now on Switch as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm a little bit stuck.
I see. And where did the idea for this game come from? Like, where did the idea of having has-been heroes as your protagonists generate from?
I think that was pretty much close to the original story. We had the background of the story is that we had the idea of taking the princesses to school, and then it kind of fell into place when we looked at the characters. They were pretty old, like the monk guy and the warrior guy were the first 2 characters, and that's kind of where the name has been heroes, and the whole setting like fell into place.
And was there any particular reason why you went like the roguelike path?
Yeah, the lead designer of the game, he's been a huge fan of roguelike games like FTL, Binding of Isaac, and yeah, the roguelikeness is always something that was definitely there on the very first designs, and yeah, they just really, the team that worked on Has Been Heroes, the initial team, what they wanted to do is really make a game that keeps people challenged, they didn't want to make an easy game, and they wanted to make a game that has a lot of replayability, a lot of content, and just something that you won't finish in one night, not even close.
Right, and well, I've read some of the reviews, and yeah, it seems like people are kind of taken aback from the difficulty. Like, I'm not, but then again, we play a lot of rogue derived games on the program, like, and I don't know. In my estimation, like one of the keys to having a good roguelike is high difficulty.
Yeah, yeah. It's a pretty unorthodox game in terms of the game controls, for example, and controller. They don't work the same way that pretty much anything I've ever played before. But yeah, the difficulty itself of the game it comes from the fact that it's quite unforgiving of mistakes, and you kind of learn from your deaths. But we addressed the like super difficultiness in a day one patch of the game on all the different platforms. So we made it a little bit easier for the beginning of the game, so that people don't get totally like obliterated the first time they play. But yeah, it's pretty tough still. But yeah, that's the point of the game. It's not supposed to be super easy. It's supposed to be a roguelike game with a lot of challenge. So yeah.
And it being a roguelike, I'm assuming it's procedurally generated.
Yeah, all the maps, all the items, all the spells, the enemies that you face on each of your runs, as well as the regions, they're all randomly generated from a pool. And yeah, each run you get some different items, you get some different spells, and the pool grows bigger as the longer you've played the game. So yeah, it keeps the player having to adapt their strategy in terms of what they build on the different characters, how they use the spells, just based on the fact that it's going to be different each time you play.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, it doesn't faze me because I've seen a lot of roguelikes, in a variety of ways. This is definitely one of the more unique ones. It kind of reminds me of a roguelike combined with, say, Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah.
Not so much tower defense, but just kind of the way Plants vs. Zombies was aligned with the lines.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the lane-based thing is pretty. Like the first time you look at it, it looks pretty similar to how Plants vs. Zombies is set. You have your heroes, has been heroes on the left side, and then you have enemies coming in, and that's kind of the same setting as you have in Plants vs. Zombies as well. So yeah, you got to keep your guys from dying and get rid of every enemy that's coming in your path.
Mm-hmm. And the key is like switching out and using the pauses.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of technical performance, is this game using a custom engine, or is it like built on Unity or Unreal or something like that?
It's using our own engine. So the one we have at Frozenbyte, we've been using it for pretty much the entire time since way back in the day. So yeah, it's an adaptation of our own engine for this 2D gameplay.
And was there any sort of issue in adapting the engine to a 2D game, because the trying games are all 3D?
Not really, no. It's just some task for the programmers to do.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, sometimes from what I've heard, it's less easy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So, how many people worked on this game, and for how long?
It varied a little bit depending on what phase of the development. I would say like an average was like 15 people. But yeah, started out small. Then at some point it was bigger than 15 when we were doing like multiple platforms. making it for Xbox and PS4 and Switch and things like that. And different phases of the development required more people. But yeah.
And were all the versions developed in-house, or did you like have a did you outsource, like, say, the Nintendo Switch version?
No, we did everything in-house.
That's actually impressive. Like, I know some of these, have versions contracted out because manpower and all that stuff. Like, were the games like the multi-format stuff worked on simultaneously, or was there like a lead version of Has-Been Heroes?
I think, or I would say, the PS4 version was the furthest ahead most of the time, and then second is Xbox, and third was Switch. Because we knew about the Switch, that we would make it for Switch on like the latest. So yeah,
right.
We knew that we were gonna make it on Xbox and PS4 and PC, but then when Switch was announced, that came later. So yeah.
Yeah. So when did you start working on the Nintendo Switch version?
Sometime last year.
And did you approach Nintendo, or did Nintendo approach you about making a Nintendo Switch version of Has-Been Heroes?
Well, Nintendo were in touch with them about the console in general a bit earlier that year, and then we were just showing them the projects that we were working on. So yeah.
So a bit of both then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
when it comes to like from what I've been gathering, like working on the Nintendo Switch is like kind of hard right now if you don't have an in with Nintendo because of how limited dev kits are.
Yeah, I can't really say on that front because we obviously have the dev kits, but yeah.
Like I said, this is from developers who want to work on the Switch but don't have a dev kit yet.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Nintendo Switch, how does it compare technically to like the PlayStation 4 and so on and so forth versions? Did you have to make any compromises to get it onto that system?
For Has-Been Heroes, no. It runs the same as on PS4 and Xbox. So on the docked version, it's 1080p, and then on the handheld mode, it's 720p because that's the maximum of the screen. But yeah, we didn't have any real issues to get it running on the console. So that was like it was really fun and great working on the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Does the Switch version use any of the unique features like the HD Rumble or the touchscreen?
We have HD Rumble. It's used when you cast spells. So you're kind of the way I would describe it is you can feel the spells moving across the screen. So that's what's used for in the game. And touchscreen, it's not used. I think it works in the menus that you can press the screen. Actually, I have a Switch here. I can experiment myself. Let me just try that actually. Just quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, it works in the menus. So yeah. But in the actual game itself, we're using just the controls or the controller buttons.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this question or if this is up to the publisher, but as I understand it, there's a physical version of this that's only going to be available at GameStop.
Yep.
And I assume that's due to the publisher.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with Game Trust on Has-Been Heroes. They're the publisher, so they're part of GameStop, and that's why it kind of makes sense that it's only on GameStop stores, the physical version.
And is the physical version only North America or US, or is that also going to be in Europe as well?
It's going to be in Europe and Australia, New Zealand as well. if it's Australia, then it's like the EB games, which they have over there. Same in Canada, I think, as well. But yeah, it'll be available in Europe as well. But next week, since we had some delivery issues with the physical copy, so Europe launch will be next week, Tuesday, on April 4th. It's out in,
so that's why it got delayed.
yeah.
Well, it's not too much of a delay. And are you planning any DLC or post-launch support for the game?
We are. I don't know about DLC yet, but at least we might be doing some patching of the game to just generally improve the experience based on some feedback. If there's been any bugs or issues, yeah, we're working on fixing those. There's not been too much, but yeah, we at least did the day one patch already, and maybe looking into doing some other similar updates that just improve the experience in general.
Well, what's been the feedback on that front?
From users or reviewers?
Both.
I think users are more positive towards the game, especially if there have been people who've played roguelike games before. Some reviewers like it. It's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what the reviewers have thought about the game, but yeah, I think on a user level, they're really liking the game and enjoying it. It doesn't hold your hand, for sure. A lot of the mechanics are something that you either just learn by dying, or then you read it online, like from somebody who's made some tips or somebody who's played the game before and are teaching you a bit. But yeah.
Yeah, I recommend for those who are having problems with the game to go watch like the Nintendo stream when they had the Has-Been Heroes on. It conveyed a lot about what the game was and is. Like the trying to remember what it was called, the Nintendo of America, like when they demoed a whole bunch of Switch games.
Was it the Treehouse?
Yeah, the Treehouse Live thing.
Yeah. We also did a stream on the Has-Been Heroes Facebook page a couple of days ago, so on the launch day, where we played the game pretty far and also tried to explain a lot of the mechanics and tricks and things like that as well.
Right. And has the game been doing well so far?
Yeah. I can't talk specifics, but yeah, it's been doing good.
That's good to hear. It's been a pretty packed season, and you know, there's a lot of games coming out.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that it's not getting lost in the maelstrom.
We are definitely getting a lot of comments and talk about the game on our social media channels as well. A lot more than any other game that we made in quite some time. So yeah, it's fun to talk to people about the game and when they're asking about stuff. So yeah.
And have the commenters been like for one platform, or has it been pretty even across the scope?
I think most of them are on the Switch, but yeah, comments from all kinds of like all platform players as well. But most are definitely on the Switch, I think.
No, I mean Nintendo did quite a bit of advertising of the Switch version, I noticed.
Yeah.
Right, and before moving on to Nine Parchments here, I do have a question about Trine.
Right.
The Trine series. Would you consider porting these games to the Nintendo Switch?
I think we could consider it, but we would rather make some new games for the Switch first. So it's a bit of a situation where you're weighing two options, like you want to make new games for the Switch or you want to port some old games to the Switch. And yeah, it's something we're considering, but not something that I could like say for sure that yeah, of course we'll bring them to Switch. But yeah,
It's,
we're considering.
it's a fair enough assessment because that is kind of the opportunity cost. Especially since like how big is Frozenbyte?
We're like 90 people right now, so quite big.
Yeah, but it's like working on projects takes some time and resources. So
yeah, and not everybody can like the porting would be taking away the key people who do the ports from other projects. So yeah, it's kind of a weighing your options kind of thing. That do you want to take those people away and then delay some other stuff, or do you want to use them? If it was a really like quiet time that we're not sure what those people like the programmers who do the ports and that kind of things would be doing, then of course we do the ports right now. But we have quite a few things in the works, so yeah, people are busy. Just fell on my chair. Sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. All right. So 9 Parchments here. We have an announcement trailer. I don't know if you want us to play this or.
It's a pretty old announcement trailer from last year, I think. Yeah, but you can play it if you want.
All right, give me a moment.
Yeah, it's like you got to switch out from the game to the trailer, so it'll just be a bit. So in the meantime, what is 9 Parchments?
So 9 Parchments it's a co-op game focused on playing with other people. Like the best way to play the game is with a group of 4 people, and it's about a group of wizards who drop out of school in order to find the missing 9 parchments, which are kind of spells that you would normally study for years and years in the wizards school, which is the Astral Academy. But they decide to take the quick path to the 9 parchments, and that results in a lot of unwanted deaths and damage to your teammates and all kinds of crazy, magical, chaotic mayhem. So yeah, it's playing. It's like a twin stick shooter kind of game, except it's with spells. And yeah, you're using a bunch of different spells that you find during your playthrough of the game, and yeah, using the spells to smash and destroy a bunch of monsters.
All right, I think I'm ready.
All right. So please proceed, Petty Fan. Yeah, looking at the game, it kind of reminds me of Magica. Like, if anyone else has played that one. But...
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot about Magica comparisons, and it's pretty close to what Magica is. So it's using a bunch of wizards and their magic, and we have the friendly fire in common as well. I think what we are doing different is the spell system is a lot more streamlined on our inline parchments. It's much easier to get into the game, casting the different spells, rotating between them, and yeah.
And is this another procedurally generated game?
Not exactly, but there is replayability in the sense that you have a pool of different maps, and when you play the game, it selects from a few different ones on each playthrough.
So it like rotates in and out.
Yeah.
Oh, how Splatoon of you. And is this another game where you have short play sessions, like go through an hour, 2 hours, and then unlock stuff?
It's a little bit different.
Mhm.
Maybe a playthrough would be a few hours,
Uh,
but yeah, it's a little bit open still right now. Like how long the sessions would be, but one map maybe takes like 20 minutes to play through in a group, and then yeah, you're playing through like a whole playthrough is several maps, several bosses in total. So the actual playthrough can be quite long, especially if you're not very good at the game or if you're like just starting out. And then once you get to know all the different spells, and if you're like, that's not even the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing is in terms of how fast you progress in the game, how fast you beat through the levels is how well you work in a team. So if your teammates are constantly killing you, it's not going to go very fast.
Looking in your direction, Ogre. But yeah, I can imagine how this would go in either case. And now, in terms of co-op, is it local, online, or both?
It's both, and you can play as a mix of both. So you can have like let's say 3 people's locally and then one join online, or like any mix of that. So yeah.
And is it drop in, drop out?
I believe so. Yeah, at least it works. Works drop in, drop out right now. Not sure if I'm not 100% sure if that's the final design on how we're gonna go for it, but I'm pretty sure it will be.
Okay. And is there like any difference between the wizards, or are they all like the same skill wise?
There's some differences to them. Like one of them is like a fire mage, and they start with different spells as well. So yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and, can you like are they customizable, or are they pre-made characters?
They're pre-made in the sense of their well, the starting spells. But then we're gonna have things like hats and staves for the characters that you find as you progress, and then you can use those on the characters as well and swap between different hats you have and different stats and all kinds of stuff like that.
And I'm assuming this is using an updated version of your custom engine.
Yeah, that's correct.
And the game is coming out for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, correct?
Yep.
And any potential plans for a Switch version here?
I can't say yet, but it's I mean Switch is something we've enjoyed with working with on Has Been Heroes, so yeah, it's a possibility. But yeah, can't really confirm anything on that front yet.
Duly noted. And how far along is the game?
We are pretty far. It should be coming out later this year. So we haven't shown any new material since last year, so excited to be doing that pretty soon. So yeah.
I look forward to it, and I know I'm interested in playing this game, and I think my cohorts are.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah, well, it's like we usually have a lot of fun with our multiplayer affairs.
When the games decide to work.
And we finally got to make a 4-player co-op game. Those Trine games were always 3 players, and then you have the option on consoles for 4 controllers, and yeah, we finally got to doing one with 4-player co-op. So
Was that always a big sticking point with the Trine games?
well, I don't know, but yeah, Trine games have always been about 3 heroes, so that's where the name comes from as well. So
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, people always like some people always like a little bit complain that yeah, I wish we like a 4th person could join as well, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because people, it's like you don't see a lot of 3-player co-op games.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Like, it's usually like either 2 for however many controller ports, or how many people you can have on screen.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they finally got the 4-player thing going there.
Yeah.
Right, finally, is there anything that you're working on that you can talk about at this point in time?
Like,
In terms of future projects.
Beyond Has Been Heroes and 9 Punishments, I can't really say anything. Have to keep my lips sealed of those projects yet, but yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, I've been enjoying Has Been Heroes so far. I've been able to find time for it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to playing 9 Parchments, and maybe we'll have you back on the program when that is closer to release.
Sure. I mean, would be very happy to join you guys again and talk more once we can show more of the game, and you guys can actually play the game.
Yes.
As well, so.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very kindly for taking time out of your schedule for being with us today.
Yeah, it's very nice talking with you guys.
No problem. All right, so that'll about do it for this special installment of Fragments of Silicon. Be sure to join us on Sunday, where we're actually reviewing the game Has Been Heroes, along with Thimbleweed Park, and we look forward to it. And until such time, I wish you good gaming.